All right, so we'll get started, everyone. Thank you for working through the cold and getting here. So we'll start. I kind of wanted to chat about kind of who we are, what we're doing here, what kind of the goals to set up, this little mini session. So I'm Kyle Martinis. This is Emily Heller. We're two of the three. We just hired another physical therapist down the street over at the Village at River's Edge. I'm the owner. We opened up almost a year now. We've been there, and it's been wonderful. The community's really embraced us, and we've been really working to kind of do more of this community integration work where we give back because people have been so good to us. Now we want to give back and try to get everyone healthier, safer, and kind of get a little notoriety for ourselves too, to know that we're there when you need us to help you. But take this as this is a full preventative class. We want to show you some tips and tricks that you can do, in the house, outside, to keep yourself safe, and to make sure that, especially now that the winter's coming, we have a foot of snow coming on Thursday.
You have a great sense of humor.
So just be mindful. But no, really wanted to thank you because this is going to be a good thing that we want to try to pursue going forward. With the feedback that we get from you guys here today. There's a lot of topics that we can cover that we've done in the past at our other location in Rehoboth. We usually did something once every other month there, and it went really, really well. So we'd love to get feedback from it to see how we can improve the session and make changes to go forward. But yeah, we're Personal Best Physical Therapy of Norfolk, right over at the Village at River's Edge. So I'll let Emily start. She'll kind of introduce a few things that we're going to do, talk some statistics, and then we'll try to make this as integrative as possible. We'll do some exercises, we'll try a few things, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, please feel free to raise your hand, ask questions. You don't have to wait to anything like that.
Yeah.
So why is this important? The reason we do this is the incidence of falls are increasing 30% from 2007 to 2016, so you'd imagine probably even more now. And they're scary statistics, and it's not that people are falling and dying, it's that you fall and then you break your hip or something else happens, you end up in the hospital. You don't want to get yourself to that point, so that's why we like to come in, give you kind of some simple tips, things like that, to hopefully prevent a fall. So kind of general safety tips. You can make your home pretty safe. Area rugs are not great. If you have area rugs, you want to make sure they're very flat, they're not sliding out, you don't have cords running across rooms that you could trip over. And then things like lights. Do you have night lights if you have to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom? You don't want to be walking in the dark to the bathroom because you might trip, and that's just something you can do that's quick and easy that might prevent a fall. And then the other thing is if you have animals. I have a dog, he's a tripping hazard.
Okay,
But
can you speak a little louder?
if you have
You have a
animals,
sweet voice.
sorry. If you have animals, things like that. I have a dog, I trip over my dog. That's just another reason you want the area to be pretty well lit so that if your cat is lying there, you can step around them versus falling over them. We're going to go over a couple different things just in terms of general mobility. Some of it is just good body mechanics, so helping to prevent you from hurting your back, things like that. But it also helps with decreasing how dizzy you might get when you sit up and things like that so that you're not falling. Okay, so kind of the first one to talk through is how to get out of bed. So a lot of people like to sit straight up when they go to get out of bed. That's not ideal at all. It's not good for your back, but also then you get the sudden blood rush. So really the most ideal thing you can do is if you can roll to your side, and I don't no, so if you can really demonstrate
we'll pretend
on
this
the
is
floor.
The back.
So if you can roll your entire body to the side, that protects your back. It also gives you a little bit more time to get everything to adjust. And then you want to swing your legs down over the side and push up with your arm. And then the most important thing is just sit there. Sit there for a minute, take nice deep breaths, make sure you're not dizzy before you stand up. okay? And then when you go to stand up, you want to make sure you scoot forward so that your feet are actually touching the floor. Stand up slowly, and then again, stand there for a minute. Take nice deep breaths, make sure you're not dizzy, and then start walking. A lot of times people hop right up out of bed, they don't think about getting dizzy, they get halfway to the bathroom, all of a sudden they're dizzy and they're on the floor. So just really taking your time, letting your body adjust to changing positions, letting your blood pressure even out, things like that can be really helpful in preventing a fall.
One of the most common things we see in the clinic is when we've been treating a patient for 45 minutes, they've been laying on their back, laying on their stomach, something like that. All of a sudden it's like, all right, let's hop up to do some exercises. And the first thing they tell us, goes, whoa, well, I'm feeling a little dizzy. We start that education right away, right there. Okay, this is probably going to happen at home because we try to sleep for, 6 to 8 hours a night, sometimes less, sometimes more. But if you're laying down for a prolonged period of time, your blood pressure is at a certain level. When you scoot up, things drop. That's where we get that dizzy feeling. That's where we kind of feel like, oh my God, the world is spinning around us. Not an ideal time to get up and try to move around to get ready for your day. So we see that after 45 minutes, you can imagine it could be just as worse, after you've been laying down in your bed for 8 hours a night and you hop up. So to kind of hit on that point is to really make sure you think about giving yourself an extra second when you get up. It's worth it. It's worth the extra time. If you need to be somewhere that morning, give yourself an extra couple minutes to know you have to set up your environment so you are safe, so you're not falling to start your day. It's not worth that quick get up and go. Take your time, think about it, and let everything come back, because it's going to happen. That's probably the most common reason we see people fall in the clinic at home is because of we call it postural hypotension. So get up, blood drops, and then we're dizzy.
And a lot of
this is true because I think when we were little in India, it's a custom when you get up from your bed, you appreciate your hands, so you do something good, and you sit in your bed. Then you get up, stand on your feet, and you are thankful that you are on this earth and you could walk. So maybe that is the main reason postural hypertension to avoid that.
I think that's perfect.
And then you come to New England and
walk that way to look your hands. A little prayer you say, then you stand on your feet and then you walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely that's a perfect thing to think of, and that's why
So it becomes a routine, so you do it.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to think about it. And whether that's you get up, think about the Red Sox winning the World Series, give a fist pump, get up and move, do something. It's
some routine.
Exactly. It's keeping routine is such a big a key term with all of this because we tend to fall out of them sometimes when we get crazy busy, and we want to make sure we keep that as routine as possible because it eliminates the issues we can have.
And we see a lot of people in our clinic who have other injuries because they got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and they didn't turn the light on, or they didn't turn the light on and they got up really quickly and then they fell. And they don't really remember falling, but once you're down, you're down. So just, take a minute, take your time. The next thing is standing up from sitting. So aside from just taking a little bit of extra time, if you have any type of injury, it's preferred if you can actually keep your strong leg a little bit closer towards your body and then your weaker leg a little bit further out. We always recommend pushing down through your hands, using an armrest if you have it. Again, standing up slowly and then standing for a minute. A lot of times people kind of rock their bodies forward to get momentum to stand up. It's not safe. So use an armrest if you have it. We don't want you coming forward like that.
Especially, we'll say, for example, post-knee replacement, post-hip replacement, you have an ankle sprain, something like that. You want that leg to kind of be out here because that's the leg you're not over comfortable with right now. Get that stronger leg here, use that as to your advantage to get yourself up, and then you adjust and you go on with your day. One of the couple take-homes with those points too is when you go to sit, we hate the word plopping, but that's often what we see. We don't slowly lower down, we kind of go like this. This chair is fine because it's not moving, but if we're in a chair like that, or in the chairs in the back, that's not good because there goes the chair and there goes your bum to the ground. So one of the biggest things that we educate patients on is that slow controlled lowering. Feel the chair, go, okay, it's here, reach back, slowly lower yourself to the chair, you're up nice and tall. A lot of times we take for granted the the chair's strength, and we're tired, we're going to fall quickly, that chair is going to slide out from under us. Something simple and easy to avoid. Any questions with getting in and out of a chair?
The other plus side is if you go slowly, it's kind of like doing squats, so you're doing a little bit of strengthening too.
Absolutely. Functional exercise is what we like.
Yep. So even depending on if you have injuries to your knees, things like that, obviously if it doesn't hurt, you don't want to do it. But sometimes even exercises are just slowly standing up, slowly sitting back down, because it really does strengthen your legs. And it, again, helps you functionally.
Absolutely.
So the next thing is stairs. So the saying is always up with the good, down with the bad. So when you're going to do stairs, if you have a stronger leg, you want to always step first with that. We always recommend using a railing if you have it. When you go down, you actually want to keep that good one on the step, because that's what's going to lower you down. So your bad one is always going down first.
Up with the good, down with the bad. It's the goal with going up is you're going to always think about how much weight you're putting through that strong leg. So going up, your strong legs, you're right, you want more weight to be through that leg to bring yourself up. Same thing going down. As you lower yourself down, more weight's on that right leg, your strong leg, so you want to throw that left leg out first. And like Emily said, at the same time, you're holding on to those railings, or one, if you have one. A lot of times it is just one. And you want to make sure you set yourself up where you're close to that. And if you need that, you're close enough to grab it, right? With the other side too, if you only have one. So up with the good, weight through it, down with the bad, weight through the right side, slowly lowering down and bringing it back together. Once again, concepts apply. Our stairs are great for strengthening, going up and down stairs. So the more you can do stairs, the better it is, but you want to do them and you want to do them safely. So doing them just because that's the only option you have is understandable, but you want to make sure there's lighting in your stairs. You want to make sure the railings are on safely.
That you're not going up and down in socks, because socks are slippery.
Yes.
So sneakers or slippers that actually have some grip to them too, because that's the other thing. You could be going down nice and slowly, but your sock will slide out.
Mm-hmm. And laundry can always wait. If you feel tired and you need to carry laundry down or up a stair, wait, chuck it down. Laundry won't complain. Make sure of that.
So walking up and down hills follow the same rule. So it's going to be more of a step 2 gait versus just walking one. So take it nice and slow. If the hill is really steep, then I would actually try going sideways. Okay, just a little bit safer. Obviously, if you can have someone with you and you're not steady on hills, then that's what we would like to see. So our next thing is, if you do fall, how are you actually going to get up? And everyone's a little bit different. You know, if you have a knee replacement and you can't bend your knee past a certain degree, that changes things a little bit. So if anyone has that type of situation, you can let us know too, and we can try and tweak it a little bit. But have at the floor. All right, so ideally there's maybe something close to you that doesn't roll, because obviously something that rolls is not safe to push up on.
Yeah, that's a bad example. Let's
Yeah.
use this chair.
I know Joan wanted to push me down, but
We'll
try
keep
to be
it professional.
So if you can, roll yourself over so that you can get yourself into a kneeling position. And then you want to try to keep your hands down. One foot in front of the other. And then if you have something that you can push up on, that's ideal to then push up that way.
if you don't have that, it's tough, as we
It
know.
is tough.
It's gonna make it very challenging. But the optimal positions to get yourself in, and yeah, it might hurt to be on one knee, but that's gonna set your body up for the best, we call it mechanical advantage. So you're putting your body mechanics at the best position to push yourself up. So if I'm down again, so we're here, we get over here, and if we can try to get one leg to come up just a little bit, that way you help yourself here, and then we're on knee, and then you can slide this one up. So if you are stuck without having a chair near you or anything like that, we can use this. Like I said, you may not have that potential knee flexion that you need to get there, But even if you're out here, this is better than trying to do something like this. So here, driving up and coming up nice and tall.
And then if you really do have a lot of issues with balance, I highly recommend looking at the different brands for the Lifeline, which is just, I think they make bracelets, they make little necklaces, you just push the button. They don't necessarily have to call 911. A lot of times you designate your family member that you want to be called so that they know that you fell and they can come and they can help you. So if you do fall a lot, that's really not a bad option. It's a pretty good option. It's safe for other things too. If you don't feel well, you feel like you're having a medical emergency, you press the button, someone knows that something's happening. So especially if you're living alone, it's a good thing to consider.
A lot of the, the umbrella of all this is setting up your environment is really the key. Making sure that you have things that are accommodating to you around the house, that if something does happen, you do have a lifeline, you do have chairs that are going to be close enough to you, you don't have rugs everywhere, you don't have wires everywhere. These are a lot of things that we kind of just overlook because we've been in a house for a while, we go to a new place and this is perfect. But you want to make sure you really go home, take this and say, okay, let's go room to room and let's take a peek at, oh, wow, I have, this phone charger hanging over here. I have this phone cord over here. All these simple things that sometimes we overlook. I walk into my grandparents' house once in a while and I kind of give them tips and tricks. And, I had to speak to my grandfather about carrying up the laundry about 16 steps because he had a little bit of a tumble. And he didn't tell us for 3 days that he had multiple broken ribs. Those types of things, you want to try to make sure your environment is just set up to be successful and to be healthy, and that long-term wise will help avoid a lot of these things that we've talked about. You don't have to be part of those big numbers we see if you just kind of take care of your surroundings and you take a second to think about things and think about your fatigue level, think about where you're at in the day. Is it the beginning of the day? Do you feel comfortable? Is it the end of the day? Have you been out shopping? Have you been with the grandkids? Have you been doing stuff all day? Are you tired? Think about those things, take those into account, and make sure you kind of almost take one step forward to think ahead.
No, so that's kind of all we have for just general mobility, getting up, things like that. We wanted to talk a little bit about canes and walkers. So they're also good options if you're having trouble with balance. Canes are not supposed to really be used for weight bearing, so if you have an injury where you can't put weight through your foot, sorry, canes aren't really supposed to be, I know, I'm sorry, I'm not good about it. Canes are not supposed to be used for weight bearing. So if you have an injury where you can't put any weight through your foot, you should have a walker, you shouldn't have a cane. But then other things we see are that a lot of people like to use their canes actually on the injured side. That's not correct. You actually want to use the cane on the stronger side. If anyone has seen the show House, he uses the cane on the wrong side. It's probably the biggest example that we see in physical therapy school is that TV show.
Yeah, absolutely.
But on that stronger side, you want the cane to come up to about your wrist crease. You don't want it super, super high. It won't support you there. You don't want it so you're bending forward. In terms of a walker, that gives you a little bit more support. Again, we don't want it so low that you're forward here, you'll fall forward. So you want to, again, look so it's lining up right about your crease.
The other thing to think about too when you're sizing yourself for it too is that elbow bend. You want, it's about, we call it about 25 degrees, but just a slight bend here so it lines up with that. But that should be more comfortable, and you're going to be stronger here with your arms than here or up here. You have a lot more force through this kind of range of motion than you would elsewhere. A lot of the rolling walkers are great too. Those are great if you have good balance, but we need a little extra mobility and endurance stuff that's going to get you around better. Keys with those type of things is locking things out, making sure that you set yourself up in a good position for it too. But yeah, any questions with assisted devices, anything like that? Yes, sir.
I know these push button things, alarm
Yes.
systems, there's 1,000 of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend, I know there's probably not, but do you recommend a particular brand or?
I don't off the top of my head. We've
Yeah.
had patients with all different types, ones that call 911, ones that call a family member.
Okay.
I think the original model was literally called Lifeline, but I'm not sure.
The ones I like are the ones that give you options. So if you do, the ones say that you can have
Well, a lot of
a
them
family
do that,
member
but
called. Yeah,
Yeah, but a lot of them do that, but you still don't know
yeah.
which way to go.
Do you notice a pricing difference with them?
They're kind of running somewhat the same, that's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. I would assume the technology, if it's the same, it'd probably be.
Yeah, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know if you had
Yeah.
experienced a situation where there's one particular one stood
Yeah,
out.
the only one we know of that we've seen is that people talk about is the Lifeline.
Lifeline.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a patient who has said that it didn't work with any, I don't even know the specific models, but I don't think I've ever had someone say, I regret having it or it didn't work. Sometimes people don't wear them
Yeah.
and then they fall and the Lifeline is in a different room down the stairs. It's not going to work then, obviously.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if there's a specific brand that's better than the others.
I'm not sure.
That's fine. I'll continue looking into it.
Okay. You can let us know what you find. And then we wanted to talk a little bit about balance because you can improve your balance. The more work you do for your balance, the better that it'll be. Our balance usually starts to decline pretty quickly too. You think about when we're younger, little kids, they're standing on one foot, they're doing hopscotch, they're kicking a soccer ball, they're doing all these things. We stop working on balance. When you go up and down the stairs, you are on one foot, only for a couple seconds. But so if you can just incorporate safe balance exercises into your daily routine, it generally helps to keep your balance from getting worse, but it also can make it better.
A lot of the initial things that we like to do is change, vary surfaces that you're on, vary your eyes closed, eyes open. So the three main systems we use for balance, obviously, our sensation, our strength, our vision, and then our ears and vestibular system. If we have one that, say, we've had surgery on one, we have to try to make up for another. Naturally, our eyes may become a little bit limited as we age, so we lose some of that, so we have to make up for it with another system. So realistically, we want to try to incorporate all these systems into our training. A lot of initial stuff we do is single leg balance. So you want to try to find a place where you're going to be comfortable. So a good place is kind of like a kitchen counter, a sturdy chair, not a rocking chair or kind of easy slidable
If you
chair.
can do a kitchen counter or a bathroom counter, that's your safest bet.
On all of our home programs, we write at the top, please use kitchen counter, because we know hopefully that's not moving anywhere. If not, we have other problems. So hands on the kitchen counter, and I'll kind of demonstrate out here so you can see me. And just kind of counting to 10. Like this, switch off. And we do, 4 or 5 on each. Really, and when you feel your ankle moving, that's what we want. We call that an ankle strategy. So your ankle needs to be able to accommodate your kind of center of mass. So as I'm going, my ankle's going this way and this way. A lot of times when we have balance issues, we use our hip strategy. So we go up and our hips are going like this, and we're probably not going to be able to maintain that center of mass. So when people say, oh, my ankles are going crazy, that's a good thing. That's what we want. We want those ankles to fatigue. We want those small muscles through the ankle and foot to work and to kind of help you going forward. So single leg balance at the counter. I always say keep both hands on it to start and then slowly kind of decrease. So do your whole hand. Do a couple fingers. Do one finger. Do one hand. One finger, one hand. That type of progression is what's going to kind of help you use more of this and less upper extremity support. One of the next progressions is as you get more comfortable, and this is where I want you to keep both hands, close your eyes. Because then you're eliminating one whole system to help you with that balance. So you're here, your hands are on the counter, and I can even feel how much tougher that is for me.
And I would highly recommend, because everyone's balance is different, you start from the beginning. So you start,
Absolutely.
honestly, standing in front of the counter, both feet on the floor, hands are hovering above. If you can do that for a minute, okay, then move on to the next thing. If you're wobbly there, that's where you stay until that's easy.
Yep.
And then you have your hands hovering and you close your eyes. Both feet are still on the floor. Most of us are very surprised that that's a lot more challenging than we think it's going to be,
Mhm.
just closing your eyes.
Mhm.
So try that first, master each step versus saying, okay, not too bad, let me go to the next
Yeah.
one, because we don't want you to fall doing them either.
Yeah, and that's a key take home too. It's like this isn't. We don't need to do this to the utmost fatigue. To you're not sitting there for half an hour doing it. We're trying a new step each week. Say, oh, I got to this step this week. I feel really good about it. Move on to the next step. Because if you're starting here and you're having trouble with it here, you're just going to increase your chances of failure if you try to increase it too quickly. So what Emily said is that's a perfect example of here. Close your eyes, and then start to take away support.
And preferences with sneakers on.
Yes. Please. No heels, no flats, no slippery socks. Try to go over the hip strengthening. Yeah.
And then you can incorporate different things into those exercises. So we do a lot of hip strengthening. If you look at different research on falls, on ankle sprains, things like that, if you can actually strengthen up through your hips and your core, it reduces the risk of it. So even something where you're holding on to your counter, you're standing on one foot, you're sliding the other foot out to the side. Okay? So with that one, you're using your hips. You're actually using the one you're standing on to keep the other hip from dropping. And you're using this one to swing out to the side. And you're working on your balance.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that, you can just kind of combine things, get a little bit more bang for your buck.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone's interested in getting a couple exercises after all this, some of the stuff that we've gone over, we would love to send you a few things to do. I think there's some pictures in here, but if you need more detailed pictures and stuff like that for prevention work, we would absolutely love to send it to you. We have a great program we use through our clinic, and it gives you big pictures, explanations, all that stuff to kind of show you what to do with some of this stuff. So that's very simple. We can easily send that to you guys too.
And we want to remind you too, if you do have an injury, probably don't do this stuff without talking to a physical therapist or your doctor. We don't know everyone's condition, so these are general exercises. We don't want to hurt anyone by doing them. If you do have trouble with balance, if you have pain, things like that, you can actually come to physical therapy just to work on your balance. We have plenty of patients who do that. Depending on your insurance, it might even be fully covered, and a lot of times it is. So that's another option too. And some people come for a couple sessions, they get a program, they do it on their own. Some people come longer. And then we're working with you, so we're getting you to do a little bit more challenging things that we maybe wouldn't trust you doing on your own.
Yeah, and one of the cool things that we do at our clinic that kind of we've tried to differentiate from other clinics in the area, I'm sure we've had physical therapy before, we're used to kind of that, oh, you go in, you see your therapist for a few minutes, and then you're off in the corner doing stairs and wondering what's next. We've kind of changed the philosophy of physical therapy care where we want to be with someone one-on-one the whole time. So we dedicate 45-minute time slots to every patient that comes in so we can work on those small progressions with you, and we're not leaving you to someone that isn't as experienced. So all of us that are employed there are licensed physical therapists, and we work with you each visit 45 minutes one-on-one. So that's one thing we take pride in with our company, and that's one thing that I think we've grown so quickly because the community appreciates the kind of care we give versus, oh, you're just a number coming in, thank you, see you later. We know everyone by name. We some we wish that but no, it's that type of relationship that we get to build over time that's really, really wonderful. And we say to everyone, no matter what type of thing we do in the community, that we don't want you to need physical therapy, but if you do, we hope you give us a call and we can certainly do what we can to help you. Other than that,
I think kind of just the takeaways are try and make your home as safe as you can.
Yep.
And then just because you haven't fallen doesn't mean that you shouldn't start working on your balance. So there is just a very simple stand on both feet for 1 minute, then stand on both feet, eyes closed. There's a simple progression in there that you really, as long as you're safe doing it, can work on your own, and it will make a difference. Thank you everyone for coming.
yeah, thanks for coming, guys. We really appreciate it.